I just watched the Diddy documentary and immediately thought, I have to come on here to share my thoughts. So, these are my thoughts. Number one, Diddy is a bad motherfucker. That guy is, wow. Yeah, that record label that he calls Bad Boy Records, perfect name. That guy is a bad motherfucker. And this is not to say that everything in the documentary, I believe that they happen exactly as it has been said in the documentary. I think it's more the how easy it is to tie Diddy to those things. You know, that there's so many shit that he has so much involvement or that's so easy to tie to him. It's not a question of him not being a saint or being a saint. It's clearly he's a bad motherfucker. The only question is how bad. And from what I see in that documentary, extremely bad. The second thing is do not joke with the power of a storyline. I saw very clearly the strategy that 50 and his team did for this documentary. The first two episodes, let's build the character Diddy as a villain. And how do you do that? Take all the things that have happened that has more proof and more factual information from the public and that can speak directly to the emotions of the public. Yeah. So out of all the stories from his past, the Pac BIG one is important. The one about the basketball game where people were stampeded at the entrance of the game and so on. These are things that will bring out people's emotion. There's public information about it. There are police confessions and so on. So now building the character Didi as a villain, very easy. Now we use episode 3 and 4 to talk about the more recent things that we've heard about. And if we have built the character that is a villain, it's easy to believe whichever way we formulate the story. Yeah, and I'm thinking the Capricorn Clark, the Kirk Burrow stories, and all that stuff. He sexually assaulted me from Lil Rod, or he kidnapped me from Cap Clark. And I'm not saying these things didn't happen. I'm just saying this was a strategy that I realized, and it was very fascinating to see the power of a storyline because I guess it will work for a lot of people as well. And this brings me to my third point. The strategy made sense, but I still realized that it had some loopholes. The clearest one is the bunch of people that came together to contribute to the documentary. Majority of them were vindictive people towards Diddy, right? So ex-friends, ex-employees, ex-partner, and so on. And it does not lend a lot of credibility to the whole storyline because these people have the incentive to lie. They have the incentive to garnish the story. They have the incentive to put all the blame on Diddy. One of the craziest one is, a bunch of guys that knew Diddy was doing crazy shit and never said anything until they fell off, right? And they would justify not saying anything until they fell off with different things, but it just doesn't make sense to me. And now this makes me wonder. I was thinking, wow, if this loophole is immediately glaring to me, 50 must have seen it as well. And I realized that, I mean, I'm a big 50 fan, so I might be smiling too much in this video. But I realized that 50's goal is not necessarily to be accurate or anything with the documentary. I think his goal was to clearly tell a story and paint a picture to achieve one single thing. I think he realized that maybe the 50 months term that he got on this court case was too short. And if you leave it be like that, Diddy will come back, reintegrate into society, and start doing his brother law bullshit again, right? And that many of the cases that are currently pending in trial, they probably don't have enough proof to do anything to Diddy, considering his legal team. So, what can I do? I need to destroy all his opportunity to re-enter society. Um, and I think that's the him of 50 Cent in this documentary. I don't think he was trying to expose the truth or whatever. He's trying to tell a very clear story from one side. And that brings me to the fifth point that there is a danger to doing it this way as well, right? Because it's so one-sided, it could be a layup for Diddy because now Diddy has the opportunity to come tell another side of the story that might have more proof and more factual information, more backings and so on, with a lot more people trying to show that the story is not exactly how it has been played out with this documentary. So I'm a bit worried that because the story did not even try to mimic a balance, it just focused on showing that Diddy is a villain and is a terrible person and is bad. And which for me, I personally believe that there's no one that is inherently evil. Right? There are always different situations and incentives, and people would behave differently to different things. Yeah. So a man's life or a person's life and history will always include the bad and the good, the evil and the great and so on. And I hope it's just not a layup for Diddy to come sell another story that might be more believable. But all in all, from my perspective, I think the documentary did enough to show that that name Bad Boy Records, Diddy is living by those words very, very much. He's a bad guy. However, it also shows me that there's more to come. Like this Diddy case is not, it's far from over. I'm also very curious to see how this case about Diddy and the exposure that his kids are having to it, how this impacts them. Very curious about that. I'm curious about what Diddy would do next. But fun stuff. Kudos to 50 Cent and the Netflix team. I think they did a great job with the documentary in general, especially for what imagine 50 Cent wants to achieve with it. Curious to see what comes next. Curious to also hear your thoughts. I'm wondering if I'm the only one that's thinking about it the way I thought about it.